Well, my 2-month vacation is over. I came back a week earlier than expected. I was supposed to be back on January 12th for the reporting, and I'm here a week earlier than expected.
A month and 3/4.
Yeah.
Technically, it's my fault
Yeah, you should.
because I wanted the show, and nobody pays attention in group chat because everyone was on vacation.
Yeah, we were mailing in like FPF.
It was
Monday.
literally January 1st.
Yeah.
Yes,
It was
and I was
before you said Happy New Year. You said, I want to do another Calling the Audible show.
Yeah, we're doing a show.
A preview of the preview of the preview. It is Calling the Audible. The winter 2023 season now upon us. I am back in the nest. I'm Mo Khan.
Who are you? Yes.
I was about to say I'm Mo Khan, alongside with Iggy Magnets, better known as Iggy Smalls. PZ Delarizi will be with us as of next week, and Eagle is in the ultimate nest as the quarterback of the show, pushing the buttons.
Hello.
Hello, Eagle. Hello, Iggy.
Aren't you the quarterback of the show?
No, Eagle is because he has the control of the buttons. So
Isn't he the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator?
He can knob us. So.
Mo doesn't understand sports.
Yeah.
He can knob us, right? So, anyway, so this is not like an actual. We're going to recap games. It's more of the.
Well, of course not.
No, we can't because we're.
Well, I mean, we could recap the finals.
Well,
Yeah.
we could recap the scrimmages.
Oh,
that's
yes.
being played, right? We can call up someone. Hey, how was your scrimmage? And blah blah blah. Anyway,
It was okay. It was a good
The
warm-up.
free agent frenzy
Exactly.
and the All-Star game.
Oh, yeah, that was fun, too.
yeah, I don't care for that stuff.
Yeah,
No, it's more of a preview of the rules, new rules that we have implemented for this season beyond. We're going to unveil the Hall of Fame class. Is this the Hall of Fame class of 2023 or 2022?
2022. So one thing that we've changed for our Hall of Fame voting is that beforehand we used to do it in the winter season over the Super Bowl break, but effectively you wouldn't count the winter season because we were in the middle of it. And so we made a decision to change the way we do our Hall of Fame voting, and that we're going to do it at the end of the year, at the end of the fall season. Therefore, you can get the entire calendar's year of seasons associated towards you at that point in time.
So it's like
yeah.
the NFL, right? Where they go, whoever wins this year will be the 2022 NFL Super Bowl champions.
Correct,
Even though
yes.
you won
So same thing.
2023.
So technically this voting was done in 2022. We're just announcing it now.
2023, exactly. When's that Iggy up for eligibility?
Oh, it's going to be a long time, my friend.
Well, what's longer, the 8-minute drive of his or his eligibility to become Hall of Fame worthy?
That'll take about 8 minutes, yeah.
Perfect. Not on this show, though. All right, let's dive into it. Iggy, welcome back. You will be part of the show with PZ and I, and Eagle will have a rotation. There will be dates where I will not be here. There will be dates that Iggy will not be here, and PZ won't be here, and Eagle won't be here. But we'll have a threesome in here.
That's not the word I would use to describe
In the
it.
shipping container, yes. At a distance, though.
I thought the threesome was going to keep me warm during the winter time,
Perhaps
but
it
now
would.
it's at a distance, so I'm not sure
It's not
anymore.
going to help too much. But let's talk about the overview of the league coming in here, guys. Most importantly, the new rules, and that's where people take maybe a week or two to adjust to the new rules here. So, Eagle, I allow you to unveil the new rules, in particular, the onside rule, which was used as a guinea pig in the Fall Cup of 2022, which people didn't like. It brought a different element to the game of strategy. And now we made an adjustment to this rule for the winter season and beyond. So let's dive into this here, guys.
Yeah, so for those who are looking for the rulebook, by the way, if you go to the website, you can go under the Resources tab. Underneath there, we have Documents. You're going to see two different rulebooks. One is the official rulebook used by the referees to administer the game. So these are the actual rules of how FPF is played. And then we have the roster regulations, what I like to call the captain's handbook, which is dictating how we process your team from an administrative perspective, how jerseys work, how games played work, how the cap works, etc. So those, definitely check them out. So we have the rule book, which is the winter version, and then the administrative rule right now, it's our September 1. We'll be updating this very shortly. There's not a lot of changes this time around, admittedly, in the administrative rule book. The biggest change that's made on this one, just pointed out now, is you are no longer restricted of playing in a numbered division only on one team. What that means is if you're playing in Division 5A, as an example, you are allowed to also play in 5B. In the past, you weren't able to do that. You could only play on either 5A or 5B. Now you can do both. And you can play on as many teams as you want in as many divisions as you want, provided it's only one team per division in that fashion. So you can't play two teams in Div 1.
Exactly.
I picked up a free agent on from 5B because I'm playing in 5A.
Look at that. The free trade agreement has begun with 5A and 5B.
Honestly, just in 10 seconds, it's really good to get a replacement because before, by not being able to take someone from 5B, like a third of my pool of potential players was wiped out for no good reason because I'm never going to play those teams in 5B.
Right.
Now it opens up to, replace me at quarterback, replace another receiver, etc.
Right.
So feel free to read through this as a captain. There's a lot of stuff in here in terms of roster rules, attendance, forfeits, try and avoid them, the ratings, co-ed rules, uniform rules, etc. Check that all out. I'll specifically call out the uniform rules just for a second. We know for a lot of teams, your jerseys are still being processed or you're in the process of receiving them, whether shipping or producing, whatever it happens to be. Week 1, we usually give buffer because we know not everyone has them in time. Week 2 is usually picture week, so by then we want you to have them. And then past week 2, you're definitely in uniform violation. So keep an eye on making sure you have a jersey to get your games played.
And the number of games this year will be 5, right, for eligibility for winter
Correct,
season?
yes.
So 5 required to be playoff eligible for your teams or team, depending on how many you play on the winter season. Okay, so let's dive into the new rules. And the one that has been the rule that has really changed the dynamics of the FPF world has been the onside kick or the onside pass. I don't know what to call it.
Onside attempt.
Onside attempt. There you go. It was brought in for the Fall Cup. It brought a different element of strategy, as I said before. It kept games more relevant, whether it's at the beginning or at the end or whatever it is. And we saw some wins come from it, right? People did like it. It definitely brought a different look to it. So, gentlemen, Eagle in particular, what is the new adjustment to the onside rule for the FPF winter season coming up?
So the biggest change that we've made in terms of the onside kick is that it now is a play that is only available after a touchdown. Now, that's always been the case, but it replaces a convert attempt, now requires using a timeout, and if unsuccessful, finishes the play at point ball dead. So those are the major changes. So what does that mean from a rulebook perspective? On the rulebook, if you take a look, 13.2 explains when you can actually do this. So a touchdown will count for 6 points, and it will be followed by a point after touchdown, also called a convert attempt, or an onside attempt. So what does this mean? You score a touchdown, the ref is going to say 1 or 2 or onside. Those are your choices.
Okay, and just to clarify, because you know how some people are, let's say captain goes, I'm going for a 1-point attempt. Doesn't hit it. He can't go for the onside kick after.
He cannot. It is now a choice. 1 point, 2 point, onside.
Okay. So
in theory, you can also decline. You can choose to not have
right.
one.
Is there a time window? Like, you know how sometimes there was a gray area where the referee set the cones, but then the team that just scored that went on defense, I want to go onside kick.
Nothing like that, because it just in the same way you scored a touchdown, the refs will come ask you,
Right.
do you want 1 or 2? You can say onside at that point.
Okay, so just to clarify again here, the onside kick will only be administered after a score, but then the referee will offer you either 1, 2, or an onside kick option.
Yes,
correct?
and in theory, they might not offer it to you, but it's an option available to you. Like they might say 1 or 2, and you say onside.
Right, and
it's
where you take it on the field is where? From the 5-yard line?
That's where we get into what is now the point, or what was the point after touchdown section, but is now 13.7 for convert or onside attempt. So after a touchdown, the scoring team has the choice to either go for a 1-point convert from the 5-yard line, like today, go for a 2-point convert from the 10-yard line, like today, decline attempt a convert, like today, or, here we go, under certain conditions further described below, once per game, per team, elect to make an onside attempt to retain possession. And then there's logic, like you mentioned, Mo, in terms of if they've already made their request and they want to change it, they have to use a timeout. So that's also part of it. So here are the conditions for onside attempt. A team gets 1 try from their own 5-yard line to advance the ball past midfield. So you still need to get to the midfield mark or further. It is still at your 5-yard line, so that part hasn't changed. The part that has changed is a team must have a timeout remaining to request an onside attempt. Requesting an onside attempt stops the clock and consumes the timeout. The clock will start on the snap of the onside attempt. So think of it as you scored the touchdown. Now they got to set up the bags on the other side of the field. So we're using a timeout in order to do that, such that it speeds up. I mean, the clock doesn't run, so you can't just kill time by trying to do this.
And just to clarify here, gentlemen, you need to have timeouts to use the onside kick. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So if you have 0 timeouts, you cannot go for an onside attempt. If you have 1 timeout, you can call it, and it will burn your 1 timeout as well.
Right.
So you're left with 0 after the onside attempt.
So how many onside attempts can you do in a game then? 2 then?
One. Just
One.
one. Just one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
once
make
and that's
sure,
it.
Because you know how it is, right? Teams are, I have 2 timeouts, so I can't use 2 onside kicks, right? So I want to make sure about that.
Yeah. So then, next. If attempted in the last 5 plays, an onside attempt consumes a play. Conversely, if Team A wishes to make an onside attempt after scoring a touchdown on the last play of the game, they may do so as long as they still have a timeout. So what does that mean? If you score on the last play of the game, and let's say you're down by 3 or something, they're going to say 1 or 2. You can say onside, assuming you have the timeout and you haven't done it yet, and you'll have 1 Hail Mary play essentially at the end of the game.
Okay.
Then, if Team A chooses an onside attempt, they may not punt on the play. You must run a scrimmage play. If you are successful, you retain possession at the point ball dead and obtain a first down. If they do not make it to midfield, or if the opponent intercepts a pass, the opponent takes over at the point ball dead.
All right, so let's give an
that,
example.
That second point is a major change, because beforehand
Huge.
it was either the offense got the ball wherever they got the ball to, essentially past midfield, or the defense got the ball at midfield. Sacks didn't change anything. Interceptions didn't change anything. Tackling someone didn't change anything. Incomplete pass got it at midfield, essentially. Now, position on the field actually matters. So let's say you go for an onside kick, and the pass is incomplete. Your opposition gets the ball at your 5-yard line now. Not at midfield, at the 5-yard line. If it's passed and intercepted and returned to midfield, then you get it at midfield. If it's knee down in the end zone, they get it at the 10-yard
10,
line,
at the 10.
essentially, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's like usual rules as if it was a regular play in terms of at the end of the play, depending on who has the ball and where the ball is, that's where change of possession or retaining possession will start from.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a 4th and 25 attempt or 4th and 20.
Right.
whatever.
Right. And so essentially, as Eagle said, and I know people are going to be a little bit confused by it, but you must have a timeout in your back pocket to utilize the onside kick.
Yes.
The referee will ask you that question after a touchdown, whether you go for 1-2 or onside kick. That means the timeout is utilized. You go to your 5-yard line. You must get it to at least midfield.
Yep.
Or
you can score on the play.
You can score on the play, but
at least midfield.
to maintain or keep your drive alive here for you to have a lifeline. And then from there, if you don't score or you don't convert, at minimum, the team could get the ball back at your 5-yard line and start off literally in the red zone about to score on your team.
Correct. And then last thing, not gonna read through this, but the big other thing that's part of this is the defense can score on onside attempts now. Beforehand,
Right.
you couldn't. It was just considered unsuccessful. Now,
anyways, no, but anyways.
anyway, so now you can actually score if you return it, for example. Or same
Right.
thing, if you get a safety, that would count, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a gigantic section here in terms of how penalties work. I am not going to read through this,
Neither am I.
but onside penalties are weird, is what I'm going to summarize it
All
as.
right, just read up on that rule, so we won't go through that though. Okay, so onside rule has adjusted itself, and hopefully will bring a little bit more flow to the game, and now more strategy involved. Now,
Yes.
Iggy, you are a man of great wealth of quarterback play. How does this, from your gathering of information, does the community like the onside rule?
For the most part, yes. I mean, there was 1 or 2 comments, a little too gimmicky and whatnot, but it added a different element to the game. What we found, though, was that it needed to be tweaked, and I think we made the tweaks in the right place in order for it to not be so gimmicky and not be utilized so much in the first half, to gain an extra possession. Because, honestly, if you didn't successfully convert the onside kick, giving the team the ball back at midfield wasn't such a great penalty. At least not such a great penalty as for the reward of retaining possession.
Right.
Now the penalty of your opponent now being on your own 5-yard line, you're almost giving up 6 points if you don't score. So you're really now only going to use this as a last, within the last 4 minutes, 5 minutes of a game where you're down 2 possessions, and you don't want to give the ball back and to the other team, get a stop, taking up time, leaving you with like a minute, and you have to score again. It really the tweaks really make it so that you use it at the end of the game when you're down by 2 possessions and you're trying to make a comeback.
It also influences the way you use your timeouts because, especially in the upper divisions, let's say it's the end of the first half, you're using timeouts to get extra plays or to try and force your opposition to burn plays in order to leave you as little as possible. So it's a whole different way of using timeouts. So now if you do that, well, at the end of the game, if you need to have that chance to come back, it's not available to you, right? So there's a little bit of that gamesmanship that comes in terms of the clock management becoming way more important as you start moving up.
Yeah, and this might be more influential in the higher divisions, like say in All Stars. If Kevin Wyeth, who loves to use his timeouts in the first half, may have to kind of concede that and take it in the second half here. But definitely, the onside rule will be something to look out for, which is now moving forward. Yes, Eagle.
And the other change I want to talk about specifically, there's a few other ones in the rule book, which, again, you should be looking for. If you go into the rule book, by the way, any of the changes you're going to see with the strike through and then the italics for the change in the rule. So 2.7 and 2.8, I'm specifically calling out here because this is the no pockets, no jewelry rule.
Oh, yes.
We made a change this year, as of winter 2023, that if you are caught with pockets or jewelry, you will be asked to leave the field to change your pockets or remove your jewelry, and you cannot get back on the field until that's resolved, essentially. There is a 5-yard penalty that is applied against your team on the subsequent possession. What does that mean? If your opposition is caught with pockets because you told the ref, this guy has pockets, that penalty is not applied on the next play. It is applied on your next possession. So you can't use it to pin your opponent back in an opportune position because this is supposed to be a safety rule. And what some teams were doing is trying to monopolize the application of this in opportune moments. So someone has a chain, for example, and you wait until a big play or right until it's like a third and whatever. So you can force either that guy off the field or to back them up so you can get extra advantage on that play. So now, as long as the person can get off the field to fix whatever it is and get back on the field without burning the play clock, essentially, they're technically good to continue, and the 5-year penalty is applied on your next possession as a team, essentially. So it's a different way of thinking about the penalty. We still want to keep the safety aspect there. We want you to, tell the referees if you see someone on the opposite team that has a problem. We want to fix that problem as fast as possible, and we still want to penalize teams for having done that. So this is the approach we've taken this time around.
Okay. All right. Anything else for rules? That's it?
There's a bunch of other things in here. Some of them are kind of small. There's an update on the way we do tip balls, but again, not like last time, so it should be okay. But those are like the main things that are kind of like the big changes.
All
Iggy,
right.
I can't think of anything else, eh?
So,
No.
game day protocol. This is something that will have to be, I know it's going to be tough at first here, but for places like Brossard, St. Leo, we have games in Papineau. We have games in Ville St. Laurent, I forget.
Yes.
So essentially, guys, it's very straightforward here, and even Lachine for soccer. For the opening window of games of that night, you must, in Brossard and in the city-owned fields like St. Leo and, of course, Papineau and Ville St. Laurent, you must change and wait outside the facility before entering the field. So if you're playing in Papineau, if you're playing in Ville St. Laurent, playing in Brossard, you got to wait outside until that preceding event, whether it's baseball, soccer, whatever it is completely off the field because they don't want to have us changing the football field and then the parents get uncomfortable with it, which I completely understand from their viewpoint with their kids practicing and whatnot. So please change before you come to the field, and please give the preceding practice its time, its due right, because we don't want to infringe on their time, and that becomes a big hassle for all of us, and I have to become mediator with the coaches who kind of crap on me because Iggy over here is throwing the football on the sidelines, think he's Joe Montana out there trying to get ready for the 6 p.m. game here. So please respect the rules before you come on the football field, wherever you are. Also, eligibility, remember, it's 5 games. We emphasize this all the time.
Every year.
I get mocked at for reminding people like a mother, but you must keep track of your games played for your roster. And we might do it every week now. We might remind everyone.
I think we should. And you have if you see that there's something wrong on your roster, you have 7 days to contest it. Because scorekeepers, Mo, how many games do you do in one night?
We're oblivious to whatever.
You know, in 1 week you're doing maybe up to 15 games.
Yeah, if you're doing.
You know, if you're doing a lot. If you ask me to remember 100 games ago of but this guy was here, you're likely not to remember. You know.
Forget about it.
So like you have that 7-day window to contest whether someone was there, whether they were wearing a jersey, because. Believe it or not, like you again, we make fun of Mo, but every year, come playoff time in April, in end of March, we have teams emailing us saying in week 2 our guy showed up, but there was an issue with the scorekeeper, blah 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 blah. It always happens, and then teams contest. Hey, this guy wasn't playoff eligible. Now all of a sudden he is. What's going on? And it's just get it done. Check it. You guys check your stats every night. We know we play, we love the game. We check our stats. Check the roster. Check to see who got the game played. Check to make sure everything's legit.
Yeah. Yes, Eagle.
So one thing that's going to be slightly different this year is you no longer, as a captain, need to submit your roster online. You actually go see the scorekeep, and they will enter in your roster on the spot, mark who's there, etc. So what you should do is confirm and ask them to read back the names that they've selected and who's getting the games played. If someone does not have a jersey, they should tell you this person isn't getting one, and you should resolve it. That way you can deal with it in the situation. So we're going to be what I'm going to describe as very less tolerant for any complaints about missing games played, because you have the opportunity with the scorekeeper to address it. It obviously happens. Someone unchecks something by accident, miscommunication, etc. But it should be a very, very, very rare occasion that actually happens. It should almost always be correct.
And just check your roster every week for that as well. So that's pretty much about it. Again, 5 games played. The start dates are Jan 7th and 8th. Regular season ends March 21st, if I stand correct on that, Eagle.
I believe that's correct, something like that.
Finals will be April to be determined.
I want to say week of April 24th. I think it's we're still trying to figure out which of the weekends it actually is.
We got to figure that out, Eagle. You and I both may not be there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Bees and I will carry.
You might have to carry the whole weekend.
No.
Okay, let's dive into it. We're gonna do a quick, literally like a quick jaunt through the divisions here. There's a boatload to get to, and then we'll get to the Hall of Fame announcement for the class of 2022.
Last thing, Mo, before we get into it, the one thing that has not changed is the roster verification. So please use this to enter in your roster and make sure that it is cap compliant. You'll see the divisional cap here on the left and the quarterback caps on the right. Quarterback caps aren't automatically assessed, so keep that in mind. But as you type in player names, they'll appear. You can pick whether you want to apply the quarterback rating or the offensive rating. And so as you do this, it'll actually build up for the roster itself, and we'll figure out.
Wow,
exactly
I'm still at 77, better than Iggy?
On offense.
That's
Jesus.
amazing.
How
All
are you-
right.
How are you a
I'm
66?
back, baby.
How are you a 66 on D?
I know, that's crazy, eh?
I heard you were a legit rusher in
I am
your day.
insulted by this.
Eagle has a higher.
But-
You have the same defensive rating.
That's amazing. I'm 77, 78. That's amazing.
So captains are probably familiar with this tool. My God, I've used it like 100 times just trying to create my my Division 5 and 4 team. So you're probably saying, yeah, I already know how to use this. Use this especially when you're trying to sub in someone else. If one or two of your guys can't make it, or girls, use this tool for your subs before you head out to play your game to make sure you're cap compliant.
And so remember, it's the top 6 players on offense and the top 6 players on defense that count. So this calculator is automatically removing my offense and removing Pease's defense here. So this roster's cap would be 429.5 and 398.6. So this is the one that matters, which means that we would be a Div 4 team given this roster.
Who's a better cover corner, Simon Dagenet or Paulo De La Rocca?
Oh, Simon for sure. Although what I'm curious about is who's the better rusher, Mo Khan or Eagle? Because we have the same defensive rating.
I know. That's crazy. All right.
Div 1 talent over here, apparently.
Another day.
I don't know, man.
Another story for another day. Okay, let's dive into quickly here. Sorry, Division 1. 8 teams, different playoff format. It is now 7 that qualify. So there's only 1 bye, which is the number 1 seed, and 2 will take on 7. 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. So we're adopting the NFL playoff format this year to try it out. But also a little wrinkle this year when it comes to the scheduling format. I know some people were a bit perplexed by what we did. So what we did was, with the 8 teams here, we kind of broke it down to 2 groups of 4, right? Sort of like the better or the powers, I guess, in one group. And
Higher caps.
Higher caps. And the teams that are sort of in the middle to lower end in a different group. Essentially, if you're in the higher cap group, you're going to play your teams 6 times in total. The other side 4 times. And vice versa for the lower cap to play each other 6 times and the crossover 4 times. It gives you 10 games. The idea was implemented in 2016 where we actually came down to the final day of the season where you saw 3 teams in play for the number 6 spot. And at the end of the day, I think DK had won the championship that year. So the number 1 and number 2 seeds did not even qualify for the finals itself. And so that's the idea behind this here, Iggy. Do you think it will create more parity within the division that now, perhaps if you are, I don't know, an all-boys team or double straddle, you might end up with 4, 5, maybe 6 wins and be maybe the 4 seed.
Yeah. I think it's the right move. Just playing more competitive games week in, week out. Just it'll create nice storylines, competitive storylines throughout the season, and the goal is to bring it down to the final weeks of the season, and I think that will accomplish that. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be an undefeated team. I think 7 might get you 1. I think 8 will for sure get you the 1 seed. 7 could.
Maybe a 9-1 team.
9-1. 9
Maybe.
wins 100%. 9 wins will get you, but I think in terms of the baseline to win the 1 seed, 7 could. I think 8 will.
Yeah.
I think 8's that
Magic
sweet spot.
number. Yeah,
that to hit. I think for playoffs spot number 7, which now creates more relevancy for the 8th spot because you know how it is in years past. If you're only getting 6 and you're 2 and 8, you may not qualify. I think that bottom line Mendoza entry point for a playoff spot could very well be 3, if not 4 wins. Because again,
4 is a lot.
But that's the whole point, though, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to play sort of that pod, right, which kind of cancels each other out here,
Yeah.
and you can get yourself like KGP Plus. They're in the lower pod group, but they might benefit because they might end up being 8-2, which would knock out one of the so-called top 4 teams, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
There's that whole notion of that, and
Yeah.
I think also when you think about that top 4 team, there might be one of those top hitters that might end up being a 6 seed. And they might end up playing, Flag Moissac versus Kangaroos in the first round.
Right.
Where in years past it would have been maybe your semifinal game.
Yeah. And we all know that KGP is gonna beat the Braves, so that's kind of 1 win in their pocket right there.
Exactly.
And speaking of the Braves, we had I have to do him some justice here. He wanted to know, he being Mike Piercin, wanted to ask a question. Mike Piercin.
Who is Mike Piercin?
We'll find out maybe later. He wanted to ask a question, Mo. Where's Jesse Dupuis in Division 1, if we can talk about it for 20, 30 seconds here? Here's a question for you. He wants to know, where's Jesse Dupuis in Division 1?
I don't know.
Okay. Eagle, where's Jesse Dupuis?
I don't know.
Do you think I have the registration magic wand or something, and I can place people where I want them to?
He wants to know why Jesse Dupuis is not playing in Division 1 and he's staying in Division 2. Because
the roster fits ?
Yeah. To Mike's defense, what he was suggesting is he's good enough and his team is good enough. The Urgence Medic franchise is good enough to play in Division 1. So he wanted to know where are they?
Well, they're in Division 2.
So
eventually he'll be in Division 1.
I mean, it is wintertime, right? So, I mean, a lot of old people slip on ice and crack their hips, so maybe they're out saving lives.
Yeah, perhaps. Anyway.
That could be you one day. You never know.
You never know. Exactly. Make sure you salt your walkways. It's pretty slippery today. Div 2, you mentioned James Drysdale and Phil Farron.
are
They're
they
on
the
the cusp of greatness. I think they both had different styles of play.
So are you implying they're not already great?
No, in terms of Division 1 level, right? Like they're people. I know. I won't say who, but I know an established quarterback in Division 1 wanted one of these 2 players, and that player kind of was conflicted, and he said, "I can't. I'm committed to so and so. I can't join your team this year."
Right. Well, I mean, they are playing together on a certain team in Division 2.
Yeah.
So James Drysdale is being thrown to by Kevin Wyeth in Division 2 with vengeance. Phil Fada I don't believe is on Party Crashers Blue. He was on the Party Crashers last year. I believe he's only playing in Division 1
with
this year.
Kangaroos, I believe, right?
No, with
Party Crashers.
maybe. Oh, maybe he's with Blessed with Stephen Haraprasad. I'd
Right.
have to double check that. But both are playing in this division. Both are kind of, the question was like that they're both, I think, the next wave of Division 1 players. They're both, relatively young in their 20s. I think they have the talent to, I mean, they already are and have been playing in Division 1, but to be that upper echelon, the top 2% of FPF, I think they're on their way there.
It's going to be fascinating. Division 2 has a lot of teams, and I think there's a lot of unknowns, right, of what could be. There are some favorites. There are some established teams for sure, but there's still some unknowns. Division 3, Adam Sinagra, Blackouts, came up short in the Fall Cup. They add Quade Johnson, who he knows very well from their tackle days.
That's scary.
Yeah, it definitely adds a different dynamism to the team, right? More cutting edge with Quade Johnson. I think they were lacking that with Blackouts. They didn't have really a dynamic.
It was Ryan Vanslet, their number one.
Right, but he's more of the he's not an explosive player. I think he's a great player. I think Quade Johnson's an explosive player.
He that's the type of player that puts you over the edge.
Yes. Does that put not as in a bad way.
No, over the edge of being legitimate contenders.
Yeah. And does that make them a legit contender then?
I absolutely think so, because it didn't even cost them a Michael Kazaka. He's still on the team. Ryan Vanslet's on the team. So like they kept the core, just added Quade Johnson. That fits now Ryan Vanslet in that wide receiver 2 hole, puts Kazaka in the 3 hole. Are you kidding me? Kazaka in the 3? Like that's really good. And already guys are just better suited now in their roles. Like, my God, this is a scary team.
Yeah.
But there's them. There's Stephen Haraprasad and his Preach team, I believe. There's a new look Junkyard Dogs team that lost the Submergent brothers, but I believe they added that Riley Pinecone, a few other guys onto the squad.
They're not Submergents, but it's going to maybe be an adjustment for Division 3 Junkyard Dogs. All right, so Div 4, there's some
first time in a while, by the way, a single Division 4.
Yep.
We didn't hit our threshold to split teams, so that's a little bit unique this time around.
Fantastic.
Hard to find a replacement quarterback without it.
Yes. So you got some box office names in this division: Isaiah Lard, Mark Pearson, Dawson Pierre. Depending what he does, if he's going to play full season, I'm not sure with Concordia commitment. Rocco Cristiano, Zach Zorin, Will Power, James Drysdale, as we mentioned before. So is this the best of the best we've seen for this division in a while?
I mean, for the time I've been on the kind of the media side of things, I'd have to say yes. I don't know how you guys feel covering the FPF for a little bit longer than I have, but that having Division 1 and 2 names like especially the Isaiah Allard and Mike Piercin, like these two are legit guys, right?
Yeah.
As we're maybe we'll find out. And they're playing Division 4, like that makes Division 4 just really strong.
Yeah, I think Division 4, with it now being one division, it'll be fascinating to see. I think you might see a separation of teams of the best in the middle than the lower end. But the aforementioned names definitely will be very influential, and I think they can bring a cutting edge to their teams that can definitely make them much more fun to watch. I think Division 4 will be fun with no split this year, but we do have a split in 5A and 5B.
Yep.
So in 5A, see the Turf Toes, you and I called that game where the 3-possession jinx came into play, where they lost in the Tier 4 finals. Okay, so mindset-wise, does this hurt them, or does this give them more motivation to kind of come back with a vengeance?
Let's see. They definitely want to redeem themselves, but I think they need a good start to the season. If they start out of the gates 0-3, man, are they going to start, in the back of their head, start thinking of, man, did we make a jump too soon? Is this the right spot for us? I believe in the team. This time, I don't believe it's being led by Vincent Chung at the quarterback position. They're either going to go with Seb Noel or Simon Imbach, one of the two that have quarterback in the teams in the past. Again, if things start well, I think they'll be fine. I think they are capable of being a 6-4, 5-5, 7-3 kind of team. Definitely a playoff team. But man, if things don't go their way early, they might start doubting themselves just a little bit.
In 5B, what could have been? They were a winter team in 2020 in 6D that tore it up. So do they have the bring back the band mentality and go on a massive rock tour that will rock this division this year?
I'm really interested to see what they're capable of doing, against teams like Vic in a Box, Killer Rays, Penetrators, a bit more of a established teams that have moved up the ranks. What could have been, I was covering the division in that COVID winter 2020 season. They were tearing teams apart.
Yeah.
They were putting up 30, 40 points a night. So I'm really interested to see if they're able to keep up that killer mentality, or are they going to be a 3-7 type of team that's just not able to keep up. From what I saw back then, they definitely have the talent.
All right, Division 6, our homie, Frank Colatera.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce his first.
Teoli.
Teoli, right. I always say Teoli.
Yeah, it's fine. It's close enough.
Dominating Division 6. Oh, boy. This is like the depths of divisions.
I think he's more suited for it. And don't discount Division 6 for being bad. It's not a bad division. Like, Division 6, like I said for Division 4, it's like the strongest as we've seen. Every year, Division 6 just keeps getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, teams that are, or even that are new, either they've played some sort of football in their past and are athletic and whatnot, or they've been now playing flag football in the high schools. So they're coming in kind of better than ever. So I look, will he tear it up? I believe also in winter 2020, in that what could have been season that I just talked about, he was playing very well. Frank was. So expect him to have another type of season like that. He was putting up like four TD to 1 INT ratio, where like last season it was a 1 to 2. Not two,
like
not even 2 to
4.
1. Kind of inverse numbers there. Yeah. So it's definitely where he's suited. It's where you can grow your confidence. He was trying to push his boundaries just a little too much. I think this is the right division for him. I think he can find a lot more success and raise his confidence as a quarterback.
Yes, Eagle.
For the Division 6 teams who are coming in for their first season, if you feel that the game is very hard to learn, we understand. There's a lot that you have to absorb. There's a lot of teams that know what they're doing. You may not. That is okay. Reach out to the staff. We will help you out. We're so happy to be there to try and let you know what's going on, to try and figure out systems that'll work for your team. So definitely reach out to us. We will help out along the way. And Iggy, something you mentioned earlier about how Division 6 is getting stronger every single year. We actually had to start rating junior players because they were starting in Division 6 and just tearing it up. So we started giving them ratings in advance just to try and prevent that from happening.
I'm just in 10 seconds. I'm scorekeeping some FPF junior games. Holy crap, some of these kids are really good. Like better than some Division 6 teams that I've seen play. It's crazy. These guys are crazy. These kids, man, they're crazy talented.
Well, speaking of junior, on the opposite side of the spectrum, 35 plus. So the Castro boys, Ryan, Derek, they come back. And we know Ryan, unfortunately, did suffer an injury in his last go-around here. I think it was just after COVID. It was during the COVID year.
Fall
yeah,
2021.
he suffered an injury, and Derek Castro was a quarterback. Do they still have the success to make a comeback and be good at it this year?
I think so. It's very quarterback heavy. I find 35 plus with a lot of good quarterbacks playing. I can definitely see them, with a 6-4, 7-3 kind of record. A lot will depend on the quarterback play, how well he can adjust. I mean, is it you guys would know more than me? Like, are these not the players maybe that he's played with or against when he was playing, what is it now, 10 years ago?
Yeah, there's some
5 to 7 years ago.
Pretty much, honestly.
Yeah, the Glads might be a team to watch out for and stuff. Monsters, like Blevins, he's played all these guys before, so he knows what to do and stuff. Carl Denis, he's gone up against as a rusher quarterback battle here. LaPierre, of course, he knows. Corey Cook, of course. Craig O'Brien. Yeah, he knows.
Right, so like So it'll kind of be like a flash in the pan, like or Back to the Future kind of event for him. You know.
Did you have the Glads roster there, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm expecting to see like Alex Lever and
yeah, I'm just curious to see who's on that Glads roster. See if we have
Lever, Moreau, Lobo, yep, JF Trudeau.
Yeah, they might be the favorites to win that division when you think about it, right? You got the Skier and Frank LeBeau. Yeah. Anyway, co-ed divisions. We got 3 this year. Correct?
Yeah. Awesome.
The
turnout was
co-ed
amazing.
1, co-ed 2, co-ed 3. So co-ed 1 is the best of the best here. Neto, Piers, Mayer. What do we expect here from this Power Rangers? Do we have a favorite, or are we looking at this being more ended?
Well, I don't know, Eagle, what you were going to say, but I think a lot of teams came into co-ed 1, building teams to take down the Power Rangers. They're kind of tired of seeing them win. What is it? I don't know. What are they on 4 in a row now in the highest of co-eds and take down their championship? I see teams like Kiss My Outlaws, even Le Petit Fuck. They won in the Fall Cup. Are they a contender? Like you said, Puis, Mayer. These guys are now playing in co-ed to take them down in the Northern Braves where Mayer is playing. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how this division shapes up and who's able to dethrone the Power Rangers.
Just looking at this list of teams, of the 13, just by name and by like franchise association, there's about 8 that I immediately rank high, and I don't know which one is the best one. And that's not even looking at some of the teams I don't know, which, like you mentioned, Northern Braves be one of them that is probably should be on that list, right? So, yeah, this is going to be a very tough one to figure out.
It's the Braves with Mike Persin and Lauriane Beauchamp, Clara Baudouin. Like, even Mike Persin's asking me, like, Clara Baudouin's QB rating is higher than her receiver rating. Can she throw a pass? I'm like, well, if she throws a pass and completes it, the higher of the two is going to kick in. So yeah.
Co-ed 2, co-ed 3, a lot of teams. So could it be more unknowns in this lower divisions of co-ed?
A little bit. There's still not so much in co-ed 2. In co-ed 2, I see a lot of returning teams. I'm more interested in seeing. I think they were Hungry Hippos, if I'm not mistaken. One of the quarterbacks for the Volts in the women's division of it's this team. Marilyn Fosenzi. I always say that name wrong. Do either of you know how to pronounce that last name?
No, we'll get that corrected though.
Yeah.
For the finals.
Pease is actually pretty good at pronouncing it. But so she's maybe 18, 19, 20-year-old at quarterback. Very, very young. I'm interested to seeing how she raises her level of play now playing with, some more experienced, more veteran players in co-ed. Our co-ed has been going strong for, what are they, 8 seasons, 8 years now?
It exploded in the Fall Cup.
Yeah.
It exploded in the Fall Cup. With
So I want to see how her team and the Hippos do.
All right, women's.
And then wait. Last thing for tier 3 co-ed.
Yes.
Is this a year La Secte has a winning record, or do you see another team being the one that comes out ahead?
So we'll put the line at 4.5, and they'll be over 4.5
for wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see them getting 5 wins. The Fast Not Furious number 3 team is strong. I believe Alex Noel is throwing in that division or on that team. Sorry. So they definitely kind of have a head start over everyone else. But I think teams against for La Secte playing teams like Paquer, Sneaky Snakes, even Michael Scott's Tots, that's really around their alley. So Mo 4.5. I like that line. I'm going on the over.
I'm going on the over as well with them to get at least 5 for sure.
Yep.
Okay, women's. This is the most fascinating, compelling women's divisions we've had. We have
25 teams, Mo.
25
Holy
teams.
crap.
Compelling and as fun
I'm
as.
super excited, honestly.
Yeah, this is going to be compelling here. I wish they were playing, in Brosse or in Lachine and Hebert. Unfortunately, they're playing at Papineau, which is a much warmer complex than it is at the other spots here.
That's not why they're playing there. It's just that's
the
way
the schedule
week
was.
we have.
Yeah, exactly. That's how the schedule broke. All right. This tier 1 of women's, if you want to use that term, tier 1 or the higher end of women's.
Yeah.
This is like a death row. This is like the SEC of football here. This is going to be a meat grinder. And I don't think there's a legit favorite that can win. I don't think anyone's going 10-0.
No.
9-1 maybe.
Perhaps
8-2 is that sweet spot, I think, for this division to win.
So nobody makes a bowl game because they lose 2 games.
Well, no, in the new expanded playoff of the CEFB, it's different. But no, but obviously 8 teams make the playoffs. That's something we want to make sure so no one gets confused by Eagles off.
I'm doing an SEC reference.
Yes.
Our Bleu Pou, last year's women's winner over Les Bleus, are they the favorite
I think
going
they're the
in?
favorites, yeah. I think those 2 teams are the favorites. I'm curious to see how Vortex does. Bruce, well.
Yep.
UKTR is in this division. And I think we see a lot of carryover from the university flag football teams infiltrating to this league, which is great in that level of quality play that we'll have. Teams like the Bees, we don't know yet, but we will definitely find out who they are in the coming weeks here. But I think you're absolutely right. Les Bleus and Les Bleus Poudre are going to be the 2 teams that will be watching out for it. And Montréal U, the Carabins, this is a team that I have followed on Instagram for their flag football seasons that they've gone through. And they have won a bunch of tournaments along the way here. So I think University of Montreal is going to be one to watch out for as well, what they do this season.
The Bees are Concordia Stingers.
And that's going to be the circle, right? Like we
That's
always
Sarah Parker.
we've anointed Sarah Parker as being like the Connor Bedard of women's football, and
Vanessa Beery would like a word.
yes, she definitely would. But no. And jokes aside here, this is a situation for the Bees where do they finally put it together and win? Because you look at Les Bleus. And that's what I'm going to say. Le Bleu was the team I was referring to, watching their Instagram stories all throughout the spring and summer into the fall.
Yes.
They ran through everything. Emma Racine's back, fully healthy.
That's big.
That's massive.
Wow, she's great.
She's a stud and a half.
Wow. Oh, I love watching her play. She's awesome. Okay, she's on the team. Wow.
She's on Le Bleu.
I like that. I'm liking that team then. Ooh.
Yeah, this is a team that I am quite fascinated by to see what they do this year. So a lot of storylines, compelling storylines that I look forward to, and we all look forward to covering this year for this division. And on to women's 2. Whereas Eagle made the point before, we have 25 teams in total.
Wow.
And in this division alone, we have 14 outright. And I think we see more of a balanced attack here of what we have. And I'm curious to see how some of these teams do. And look, Red Nation is an established team, so do they run this division? I'm not sure. We've had the same conversation about them playing against better competition, that they don't play up to that level, but they play down to the competition. So we don't know. We don't know how this is going to be for this division here, but it's going to be fun to watch, though.
And keep in mind, this division has the University of Arizona inside it, Phoenix.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Great, wow, fantastic.
And,
because the funny thing is, the University of Arizona is actually in Tucson, which is close to the Mexican border, Arizona-Mexican border.
Where are you going with this?
I'm just saying, from a geography perspective, you want to refer to Arizona State University, which is in Tempe, which is essentially a suburb of Phoenix.
Tempe.
So
your Cavaliers are in
what a
co-ed
terrible
and
joke.
women's.
That's like a joke that I would say. That's not a joke that Eagle would say. That's something I would
Yeah,
say.
you guys were being too serious. I had to throw something into there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And also, we have the Carabin team in Division 1, but in Division 2, we have the Carabapes.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Great name.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it is.
I'm intrigued to see what this happens. And like VC Cubs, is that the Vanier flag? Well, there's so many questions that we have that we can't wait for them to be answered in the coming weeks here. But it might be a war with this division here, and who can win this. And it's gonna be fascinating to see going towards the roadshow, because I believe is that schedule now confirmed that they'll be in the roadshow this year, Eagle? Is that
My understanding is yes, but I haven't had dates confirmed.
okay? Fair enough then, because it'll be fun for everyone to see them at that platform. I know we had their files separate from the roadshow outright, but
in the winter,
in the winter of last year,
it was a scheduling thing with university schedules.
Right, exactly. But hopefully, it's now aligned where now they get the proper spotlight of the actual roadshow, which would be fun to have for them to get this season, if that's the case to be. All right, it is now time for
Not games of the week, Hall of Fame. To give everyone some context in terms of what this is, so Flag Plus Football has a Hall of Fame where every year we induct nominees based off of achievement in and success in the league, not only in the highest divisions but across all the divisions. So that could be mid to lower division, could be co-ed, could be 35 plus in theory. Women's definitely is coming up as we have people that are going to become eligible. We also have staff inductees and referee inductees for exceptional achievement and career standing.
Okay.
So
Sorry, before we unveil it, can we unveil it from the lowest percentage to the highest percentage?
I mean, I got to show the graphic, so that
And the graphics, all of them at once.
Is it all at once or we're doing one at a time?
no, we're doing. Wait, I mean, I'm going to show all of them. We can talk about them one at a time, but the picture will be everyone.
Oh, so it's not. It's like, hey, up next is. It won't
No,
be that. So
no, we're not
okay,
doing that.
cool. No
No
worries.
drum
Um,
roll, no.
Now this year, so we took a little hiatus on Hall of Fame over the pandemic years, as they'll call it, just because the seasons were all weird and nobody was really making progress because seasons weren't complete, etc. And so we took a little break. We brought it back at the end of last year. And so the way it works is the entire community, staff, existing Hall of Fame members, and community all vote on who they think is to be inducted. That's off of a short list. In order to be on that short list, not only do you need to be exceptional, you also have to have 20 seasons worth of playtime in the league. A season is winter, spring, fall. So if you're playing 6 teams in this winter, it only counts for 1 season. So sorry, doesn't work that way. And this year is also a little bit of a hybrid list because our previous list had some people on it, and then we upped the requirements this time around. So we kind of grandfathered in a few people who didn't actually hit the 20-season eligibility, but we felt still deserved to be on the short list of the nominees, essentially.
Quasi Gordon Mall waiting for his name on that list. All right.
Yeah, he wasn't on the original list, and he wasn't eligible for this
No,
one.
that's
so.
right.
So
All right.
anyway, so we had 40 people.
Yeah.
Of the 40, you need to get at least 5% of the weighted votes. So what that means is community, staff, and Hall of Fame members all vote. There's different weighting distributions for each one of them based on the percentage for votes of first place to 10th place. And then off of that, we sum up all the votes. We percentage how many you get. We weigh them. So you need at least 5%. Which, if you think about it, is pretty crazy about how 6 people are being inducted this year for our 2022 class, totaling, and I didn't do the actual math, I'm going to do it quickly, somewhere around 45% of the vote. Is that possible here if I do this properly?
I'll do it right now. About 40-something%, yeah.
Yeah, about that. Let's do it quickly.
41%, about 43%.
43.8 rather. So
Yeah.
44% of
My
all
math.
our votes went for these top 6 members. So it's pretty substantial when we think about it, and that the community is very much aligned in terms of these are the top of the top of the top.
Okay. Let's unveil the class of 2022. Here we go.
Also, we have 1 staff and 1 referee.
Yes. That's true.
Do I have a drum roll? I do. Woo!
I didn't hear the drum roll.
It's there.
Okay.
All right. So for the players, AJ Gomes, Isaiah Lard, Chris Miard, Mike Pearson, Julien Paymont, Phil Culler, staff inductee Brent Bakken, and for the officials, for the referee inductee, Stephen Donald. And this is your class of 2022 Hall of Fame inductees. Congratulations to these guys. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
What do you feel about 2 rushers being in there, Mokan?
Actually, 3 if you think about it, because technically Isaiah, Chris
Miard,
Allard
yeah.
also used
Oh,
to rush.
really?
Chris used to
Really?
rush,
Oh,
yeah.
wow, cool. I think I voted for all of these players, so I'm in total agreement with the decisions here and how the voting came down. I think Eagle, JD Chevalier was just off the list.
Yeah, I think he had 4.7%, so he was super close. Which is actually, again, crazy, right?
I might
'Cause
have
imagine-
screwed him over. I might have put a 1 instead of 9. My bad. Sorry about that, JD.
Yeah, look, all obviously great Hall of Fame, obviously now Hall of Fame careers. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? Shout out to Mike Pearson playing on my team.
I think it's for the players. It's a very distinguished group of players. They've all had impacts in their ways of of different positions, like Mike Pearson being a snapper, Chris
Yeah.
Mayer being a general player because he's played all over the football field, Pay Mall being a rusher, AJ Gomes being a two-way stalwart,
Yeah.
Phil Cutler primarily as a quarterback more or less, and he came off an ACL injury years ago.
Crazy, yeah.
And
So I think that's the one that is. I mean, granted, everyone on this list is very impressive. I think Phil Cutler is the one where his rise to success took many years to get there, but now we consider him a top quarterback in the upper divisions and everything. And
Yep.
if I said that maybe 3 to 5 years ago, I don't think you would have agreed with me in the same way. What I'll say is pre-pandemic. I mean, I think they were on their way up, but I think there's really been the last few years where his game has been stepped up, and I think that's the one that is. I'm happy to see on this list for sure. Granted, everyone else is really good. I mean, Isaiah Lard's one-handed picks from the rusher position times like 5 times a year type of thing. Julien Paiement putting pressure, but also playing receiver on all the top teams, going from the finest rosters to the Brave rosters to the KGP rosters. AJ Gomes putting up highlight reel after highlight reel. Chris Millard just being a dominant force and everything. And Mike Pearson being as solid as ever and the backbone behind that Braves team. No one here is undeserving, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And all the championships that come with it, right? Like these guys, you think of these guys, you think championships.
When I think of championship, I think of Brent Bakken.
I mean, so Brent Bodkin, to his credit,
yeah.
has been on the nomination list for staff for I think like 6 years now.
That's crazy.
And every year he's been usurped by someone, and that includes myself, that includes CM Calethris, that includes Rehan Sarwar, that includes Piz de la Riz. I think Simon Dagenet also is on that list. Like
Wow.
Lance Daniel. So it's about time that
Yeah, he
Brent
deserves
gets his credit here.
Yes, absolutely.
He's bailed us out I don't know how many times in moments where we absolutely needed him, and has done
Absolutely.
a great job. I know I've always been much more critical of Brent and a lot of the staff, and so I'm happy to see him finally make it in.
And Stephen Donald, a referee who's been here since day one of FPL.
Literally day one.
Gets in, and I know the referees get a lot of flack from the players, and I know the last couple years have been a little bit lean in terms of the depth of referees, but Stephen Donald's been a man who's stepped up to the plate numerous times and has done a solid job being respected by all divisions across. So the
communicates really well. I think that's the thing. Like as a player, not every referee is going to get every call right. I mean, I think that's an unfair expectation.
For sure.
But Steve is one of those guys where if he gets a call wrong, he'll tell you in the moment. Like,
And he'll tell you if he messed up.
He'll
Yeah.
explain what's happening, what
Yes.
he saw,
Yes.
how the things. He'll give you options to make sure you understand what the best option is for you in that moment and everything. So yeah, just kudos to him. And also bilingual. I mean, I know I'm gonna make a big deal out of this, but some of our referees struggle in both languages.
Yeah.
He is excellent in both and everything.
Exactly. So congratulations. They get what, a plaque, or what do they get now?
They get a post on the website.
Oh, don't get I got a plaque.
Did you?
I got a plaque. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Somewhere in my house.
How
but
many years ago?
It was years ago, but we got a plaque for that one. Okay, before we sign off
I
here,
didn't get a plaque.
I won't say who, but someone in my Hall of Fame class was like gun-ho because back then, Darren Basmajan, who's the originator of this whole thing, did one-on-one interviews. And that
remember
person that person was so excited to have his interview be done. It never happened. That he was, oh my God, he was on cloud nine. Anyway, another story for another day.
Cool.
All right, so that does it for this episode here. We will have...
Now I got to go find who it was.
I'll tell you off air. All right, next week we're back in. So it's going to be... Eagle is off. It's going to be Peasy and I, along with Iggy, who will be in the control position.
You're lucky I'm here. I'm leaving on Saturday.
I know, massive.
Actually, wait, wrong one. This one. We're not doing games of the week.
No, we're
I
not
was like,
doing-
wait
no,
a minute.
No, not till next week. All right, so we will be back, but then we're going to have a rotation of where it's going to be Eagle, Iggy, Peasy, or Peasy, Eagle, and I. I know I'm going to miss a few dates here. I think I missed 3 or 4 of them, during the red season. I don't know what it is. Anyway, but we'll have 3 people here in studio in the shipping container. So with that, we're done. Episode 0 in the books.
Thanks for tuning in. Expect one of these once a week, every Friday morning. Definitely feel free to subscribe to our channel so you have the notifications and check the bell to make sure you get it. If you don't want to watch us, I get it. Mo's not that pretty. You can check us out on Spotify too, so go ahead and go there, or any of the other podcast services that you use. Calling the Audible is what you're looking for. And again, episodes every Friday morning.
Magic words, please.
From all of us here at the We Kill Extra Point Life.
Good night, Michigan. and Ohio State.
Okay.